Okay, this is People of the State of Michigan versus Renisha Martin, docket number 20-642FH. And this is the time set for sentencing. Ms. Martin, could you just confirm for me that you're in agreement with doing the sentencing this way where you're not actually in the courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. And you were convicted of attempted assault with a dangerous weapon. That is called a misdemeanor, but it is punishable like a felony, up to 2 years in prison. And you have the right to be represented by an attorney. You are represented by Mr. White. Mr. White, have you had a chance to review the pre-sentence report with your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you have any additions, deletions, or corrections?
It appears to be correct, Your Honor, and I will go ahead and say I also agree with the scoring.
Okay. Did the people have any corrections to the report or objections to scoring?
No, Your Honor.
I'm just checking because there's someone in my waiting room. I want to make sure it's not a victim, but it doesn't look like it is. You weren't expecting a victim on this, were you?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Then, did I already ask you this? Did the people wish to be heard?
No, you haven't yet, Your Honor. I have spoken to the mother of the victim in this case. Her name is Valerie Figueroa, and I've spoken to her several times throughout this case and whether or not she wanted to make a statement today, and she was happy for me to speak on her behalf, in that all she asked for is she said she would like to see anger management for a year as part of the sentencing. And, from our perspective, obviously we can't require anger management for an entire year, but I think that those kind of programs would definitely be appropriate as part of probation, because this stemmed from an anger issue that spun very wildly out of control, and the defendant's actions are frightening that they got to this point. And so I think that it's more than reasonable for the victim in this case to request. I think the other terms of probation are appropriate, and we'd ask the court to follow the recommendations in the pre-sentence investigation report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. White?
Thank you, Your Honor. I agree with everything in the report and the evaluation. My client will happily participate in anger management, CBT, all of these things. I would point out that she still lives in the same residence. There have not been any incidents since. She's not trying to hold on to the property. She's trying to sell it. She doesn't want to have any more problems. I do disagree with the recommendation of jail time in this matter. When we look at the record here, there's no record. And so it was abominable behavior, and she knows it was abominable. And I think her actions since then have demonstrated that she is truly remorseful, truly realizes it was a really stupid thing to do that could have been dangerous and harmful. And I don't think she would ever contemplate behaving like that again. Given all that, given that she's behaving responsibly, willing to participate in everything, gainfully employed, which is relatively difficult to do in these days and times, she's just basically a good citizen. If I call it a one-off, it sounds like I'm being flippant, and I don't want to be flippant at all, and she's not flippant about it, but it is a clearly out of character situation that got way out of control. I don't think it will happen again.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Martin, is there anything you wish to say?
No.
Okay, first of all, I think that what your attorney just said, I don't think it's flippant. I think it maybe stated another way. The worst thing, it's a good thing we're all not judged by the worst thing we ever did in our lives, because we'd all be in trouble to varying different degrees, but we'd all be in trouble. So, you have absolutely no record. I can accept the fact that this is whatever you want to call it, a one-off or not in character with really who you are. I completely understand your anger and frustration with this situation. I completely get that. And I'm sympathetic to that, but that's where it stops, because then what you did to deal with it is just completely wrong. And hopefully you know that. The shame of it is that when you react instead of respond, you give your power away. And I don't want you to give your power away ever again. because it should be yours. And you know, what I mean by that is when you react, you give your power away because you let someone else control what you do. And you just react to it like a knee-jerk reaction. And that gives the other person the power. I want you to have your power. And that means that you respond to situations like this. So you think about it, you know, what is the appropriate response? And you decide how you're going to deal with it. And, you know, there were a lot of other ways to deal with this than what you did. And, you know, whether the gun is loaded or not, or what exactly you did with the gun, it really doesn't matter to the person who's seeing the gun. You know, so it's very, very bad behavior. But I don't think it characterizes who you are, and I don't think that you'll ever repeat it if you keep in mind that react versus respond. And there's something that's recommended here, which is MRT or cognitive behavior therapy. It's really good for everyone. There is not a person around who could not benefit from that. So, I mean, that and anger management, I think, would be the two best things for you because, you know, we all sometimes tend to act according to, you know, we act according to what's in our head, what thoughts we have. And what you learn in cognitive behavior therapy is that your thoughts aren't always true and that they can dictate how you act. And so you change the way you think, you can change the way you act. It's really enlightening when you learn it. It's freeing, and like I say, everyone could benefit from it. So the fact that I'm going to order you to do it is really, you know, it's not punitive. It's something that everyone could be helped by. So I'm going to place you on probation for a period of 12 months, 2 days in jail with credit for 2 days served. You have to pay $130 to the Crime Victims Fund, $68 in state costs, oversight fees in the amount of $120 payable at the rate of $10 a month, costs in the amount of $500 based on the State Court Administrative Office calculated average cost of a criminal case in Ingham County. Additional conditions of probation are pretty much the standard ones, even though we don't think that there's a drug or alcohol problem, but we don't want you still using drugs or alcohol while you're on probation because it's not the kind of behavior that we promote when people are on probation, and it also breaks down defenses and causes people to act suddenly and not always rationally. So, no use or possession of alcoholic beverages, controlled substances, drug paraphernalia, or medical marijuana. Comply with both drug and alcohol testing if your agent sees a reason for it. If they don't see a reason for it, then there won't be any testing. You must complete the MRT program and anger management and waive confidentiality, allow any program you're in to disclose information about you to your agent. You must not engage in any assaultive, abusive, threatening, or intimidating behavior. No contact with anyone you know to have a felony record. You can't possess a weapon while you're on probation. You must comply with all the written and verbal orders of your agent. Let the agent into your home at any time and submit to a search of your person or property without need of a warrant. Report any changes to your agent within 24 hours, and you may not have any contact with Gabriela Figueroa. And normally the condition is or be within 500 feet of residence, school, or place of employment. I assume they still live there, so that's not possible. But it just means no contact. So, you know, they're outside, don't yell anything at them or, you know, go up to them or anything like that. I think you're fully capable of complying with that. You must report to the probation department, and that'll be by phone within 24 hours. So they aren't seeing people in person. Just make sure that within 24 hours you're on the phone calling the probation department and checking in with them. And Ms. Martin, you have the right to file an application for leave to appeal your conviction and your sentence in this matter. You're entitled to an attorney at public expense to assist you in doing that. If you're making a request for one, you have to make it within 42 days of today's date. There's a form that tells more about that. We will mail it to you, and that will complete your sentencing unless you have any questions. No?
I just have one comment, if I could, Your Honor, because I do live across the street, and I'm sure she'll mind her own business. that, she just should totally ignore them. And since Ms. Allen has had the opportunity to talk to the victims in this case, if she would mention that she's not, it's going to sound crazy, but she's not being rude. She's just trying to avoid you, so she's not going to be waving or, interacting with you at all.
Okay,
That's my final comment. Thank you.
all right, thank you very much.
You bet.
That'll conclude the sentencing.